What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Burnout Brighter podcast. My name is Matt. I'll be your host for this evening's events. This is episode 81. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Destiny.
Hey.
And Big D Darren.
Oh, please, don't say that.
Why?
Don't say that.
Because it sounds dirty.
It sounds
I don't
really
mean it that way.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but maybe our listeners don't know that.
Yeah.
Darren's nickname before was Big D, unrelated to anything else. It's just because his name starts with the letter D. I didn't think I'd have to explain myself about Big D Darren, but evidently
I
it's a problem.
immediately thought about something else. I'm not even gonna lie. So.
And if I'm gonna actually explain it, it was a WarioWare thing. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but it started with WarioWare, and then it went through elementary school like that. Innocent Darren, Big D.
Okay, Darren, if that's the story
you know what the funniest part is? That actually is the story, which like you said, Darren, I really can't tell if it makes it better or worse, but here we are. On this week's show, if you've noticed, you can see us. This is our very first full-out video podcast. This is going to be the new standard going forward, and this is what we're going to be doing. So you can see our lovely faces and watch our reactions. When we talk about stuff, we can shoot, like show and tell. Guys, maybe we should do a show and tell segment where we show things and then tell about them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe. I just want to say, like, I'm not always going to be on cam. Just
totally fine.
Heads up. Because I don't think it's weird for me to be on cam all the time.
Sometimes Destiny will just be a floating emoji.
A floating emoji, yeah.
Totally understandable. There's some days where I'm going to just be, like, very naked. And then I will just
Darren,
have to
we
not be on
just
camera.
talked about the Big D story.
Damn
and now
it,
you're
totally unrelated again.
Naked.
I was going to say, you walked straight into that one.
You walked right into that one.
On this week's show, we're going to be talking about phobias, spooky things that scare us, and how we deal with that, and some different games that help freak us out. And then we're going to round out with some news all about Square Enix, Marvel's Avengers, new PlayStation VR controllers. It's going to be a hell of a show. But we're going to start, as we always do, with a round of random questions. And this is going to be my first time showing off my thinking skills on camera. So, I'm going to start.
Sorry, guys.
Darren, as he snickers to himself over there. Darren, so you know how in life, right, in the general realm of life, as we kind of started talking about, you know, Big D and where that name kind of came from, right? I feel like everybody wants a nickname. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's say in a perfect world...
I don't know if everybody wants a nickname, but keep going.
Okay, Dez. But if you could choose your own nickname that would stick unencumbered, right? Let's just say you had like WandaVision reality changing abilities and you could warp reality and never be like, this is Darren's nickname. What nickname would you want to give yourself and why?
Oh my god. It's funny because like Darren is a name that I don't think you can really nickname. Like I kind of have wanted a nickname, but like I mean, you just can't really do that to my name. Well, while I was in Korea...
Hold on. Let's say this. It doesn't have to be a riff on your name. It can be like Chrome Falcon or something.
No, sure. It could be Chrome Falcon. It's not going to be Chrome Falcon, but it could be.
Damn it!
There was a nickname that apparently, like, the South African, like, nickname for Darren is Daz, and some people I was in Korea called me Daz.
Wait,
like,
stop. Look at his face. Stop it.
What?
Stop it. We're not shipping anything. No, just because my nickname is Dez.
No.
Yeah. No. Stop.
You know that? Remember that like DVD screen?
Yeah.
When we were younger?
The really annoying
DVD
DVD screen?
and, never hit the actual corner?
Yeah.
Oh,
Moving on, Darren.
Go on,
Continue
Darren.
the story.
Well, now
Daz?
it can't be Daz. So,
now you've ruined that. That was the one he wanted, and you ruined it.
I didn't ruin anything. I'm
you
just
ruined
talking
it.
about love.
You ruined it.
if I could have a nickname, it would be Lord Darren Supreme of the Eighth Realm.
That's nice. That's
Can
a
you
good
explain
name.
to me why the 8th?
No.
All right, fair enough. Destiny.
Yeah.
If I had to ask you a question,
Hmm.
and it was a question that I wanted you to answer, right? If I wanted you to give me an answer to a question,
Right. If you were asking me a question that you wanted me to answer, got it.
right. Yeah. If I wanted that, okay. I'm gonna pull this around to Animal Crossing again because I don't know why, but that's kind of been stuck in my head lately.
Okay.
Let's say you got turned into like an Animal Crossing NPC, right?
Okay.
Like,
okay.
and you went into the Animal Crossing world and you got to set up your own store, right? Like just how like the Able Sisters have their clothing store, the Nooks have their convenience store, and there's like apparently stuff like Brewster is like a coffee shop that will one
Art
day be
supply
coming.
store.
Okay. Why?
Because I'm an artist in real life.
What kind of things would you sell, and how could you
Well-
use them?
Well, you would sell like paint.
Art
and
supplies.
you use it to paint.
Uh-huh.
You would sell
Matt,
paint
have you ever been to
brushes.
an art supply store?
I was like, what?
But let's just say
Right.
in the game
Or
world,
okay, you know what? In the game world, maybe I would own like a vintage game store, right? And I would sell like old consoles and like have like assistants to help me repair them. And then everybody in Animal Crossing would never come out of their houses again because they would all be stuck playing games inside.
and instead you would have to go find them, and they'd be like, you could be like, I haven't seen you in 30 years.
I wouldn't though, because I'd be a character and I'd be running my store. So.
That's also true. What animal would you be?
Can I just be like a little human version of myself?
I was about to say there are no humans in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, there are.
Immediately,
It's you.
immediately turned around and thought about that.
I mean, I guess if I had to pick an animal, I'd be a cat.
That works for you.
Hmm.
That works for you really well. So you would sell an art supply video game store.
No.
I
It
misunderstood.
would either be an art supply store or a video game store. You didn't seem very excited with the art supply store, so I was like, maybe I'll do a video game store.
I'm just struggling to understand the concept. That's all.
What concept? You're so
It's 'cause he's
dumb.
never been to
Moving
one.
on. But he's been to a video game store, though.
I've been to a video game store. That other thing,
Yeah.
whatever that is. Anyways,
Yeah,
is that
who
like
knows?
is that something that what was that Ophelia from Shakespeare, would she be into art supplies?
She probably would be.
Okay,
Actually,
cool.
women in that period did do a lot of art and embroidery and things like that. So
Damn it, you took my stupid joke and turned it around into
yeah,
a real
I
answer.
did.
Who's got a question for me?
I have a question. If Destiny,
woo!
you don't have a question.
No, I don't.
Okay. I actually have, I think I have a good question for Matt. Almost too good for Matt.
I don't like this.
Ooh, I'm
Matt,
excited.
I don't
What?
like this already.
Oh, he put his hands together.
What?
You know it's gonna be good.
what game that you never finished do you wish that you could go back to that, like, you regret not finishing?
That's a good question, Darren. It's like you put time and thought into it. Go ahead,
I
Matt.
know. I
Yeah,
try.
when I preamble
Thank
for
you.
like 3 minutes as I try to think about a question. A game that I never finished, but that I would like to go back and finish.
That you basically you regret not finishing it. Maybe it's a game. Oh, I'm changing it. I'm changing the question on you.
Oh.
I'm adding another factor. It's a game
On me.
that you would have a hard time, like, getting access to. Like, it has to be a game that you never finished. It's like, oh, I never finished this back on the GameCube, so it's hard for you to play because you don't have a GameCube anymore.
Okay. I don't know for sure if I never finished it. I feel like I never did because it was one of those things that I rented from like Blockbuster, right?
Right.
Or Rogers for them Canadians up in here.
Right.
I always think about Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness
Oh,
because
okay.
that was like the GameCube era Pokemon where it was like they were trying something new with it. It was a little weird. Like there were like dark Pokemon that you could catch from other trainers and stuff. Like I don't really remember a lot of it, but like it stays in my mind sometimes just because I'm so curious as to what that game actually was, just because I was young when I played it and I don't have like a huge lasting impression, but it's one
Wasn't
that's always
that
been in the
what? Wasn't that like a cross between like a Pokemon Stadium and a regular Pokemon? It had some like
No,
story elements to it.
it was an actual like RPG.
Oh, really?
Like it
Oh.
had, and yeah, it had like an actual story and everything in it. Um, so that's what I mean. I don't really remember too much about it, but I remember it being this like weird Pokemon console RPG that like wasn't traditional Pokemon, but it was still Pokemon, and there was like a Shadow Lugia on the front, and like Lugia's my boy. So
I thought you
Yeah.
said Shadow Loogie at first, and I was like, ew.
Shadow Lugia just got hit by one of them Shadow Lugias.
Nasty.
Yeah, that's gross. So yeah, I would want to go back and play Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, and like if Nintendo actually had a working way to play old games on current gen, what an idea. I'd probably pick that up and play it again. But there you go, Darren.
Don't they
Good
resell
answer.
like little like Nintendos? They do, right?
If I
Well,
wanted to
for
go find a GameCube, yeah.
I was just
Yeah,
curious.
they have like the NES and the SNES Classic, but they don't have like an N64 or GameCube Classic or anything that's like a compilation of their older.
Destiny, there are these things called retro video game stores where you could go and buy old games and play them. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept, but yeah.
I don't understand that at all. Like, why would you want to play old games when they're always coming out with new games?
That's what I'm saying. But for whatever reason, Darren wanted to ask me a question about old games, but so that's where life is right now.
Yeah, I don't know why I asked it. Don't know at all.
Good job, guys. What a round of applause. I'm gonna take a whole world of stupid jokes now that you can actually see me doing it.
Oh,
Let's talk about what we've been up to lately. Destiny, what's new? What's been going on?
So I wasn't prepared for you to ask me first, but I'm still working on like getting my room set up for the podcast. It's taken me forever because it's just I've been playing Valheim, and so that's been keeping me very busy. And I'm learning how to like build houses and stuff.
How far into the
And,
game have you gotten now?
Guys, like not far because I get distracted. So I'm like, the type of person I am in these types of games is like I am okay with somebody else going out and like fighting and stuff, and I'll just build the house and provide the food, and like that's my role in the game. Like I don't know if you
Right.
noticed that, but that's what I like to do. Like I like to build the house and like make sure everybody's comfortable and then go off and explore. But like I'm always playing with guys, so they're like, let's go kill stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'll
Hey.
build the house, and while you're out, just bring me some stuff back. Like that.
Bring me some meat.
Yeah.
Sometimes some guys just want to make sure people have the right beds in these homes that we create. That's just part of the thing.
Matt, you're interrupting me with stupidity right now.
Which, if you're curious about, we're gonna have a Valheim Let's Play coming up soon.
We do have a Valheim Let's Play coming up very soon, so I hope you guys tune into that so you
Yeah.
can see how it is to play games with Matt.
Wow. Why am I singled out, Darren? No shade.
Darren, no shade
No
on
shadow
Darren.
loogies.
Darren tried. Okay, his computer was just like, no. You,
Yeah.
on the other hand, screamed in my ear like 30 times.
I got scared when creepy
don't
crawlies
believe
run
it.
up on me.
I don't believe you got scared. Those things are not scary, guys. If you ever see the Greylings, look up the Greylings. They are not scary.
They're scary when they run up on you unannounced.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm so
Valheim-
scared by the
is that-
RuneScape monsters.
Yeah.
The quality of our game, Darren, was something to be seen.
But yeah, we're gonna have like a let's play of that. So guys, like keep watching. It's gonna be fun. It's actually really fun playing with Matt and Darren. Like we don't.
is.
It takes us a long time to get things done, but we do get them done.
We did get them
eventually.
done.
Yeah. So I've been doing that. I picked up Cozy Grove
Yep.
on Apple Arcade. And if you guys have Apple products, it just popped up to me and it says I can share it with like 5 other family members
Oh, really?
for free.
Dang.
So since I'm already paying for it and I don't like any of my family, I just If you guys want, and you can try out some of these games for free because I'm already paying for it. So just let me know. So
All right. We'll do.
yeah,
Nice.
and I really want to get into Grounded, which we haven't done yet, but it's kind of similar to Valheim, like the game style, but the graphics are much better. So I want you guys to download it and see if your computers can run it, because I think that would be a great game to like also do a let's play on. So,
yeah, I think Grounded will have to be Darren. Maybe we can play the game and Darren can commentate over us playing.
Yeah,
that
because
would be funny.
If I can't run Valheim properly, I'm terrified of trying to run Grounded.
I wonder if it's on other platforms though.
It's on Xbox, but
yeah, only Xbox. I don't have an Xbox, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Anyways, cool.
All right.
Well, that sounds like fun, Destiny. Darren, what about you?
Fun.
What's new? What have you been up to?
Well,
look at that little jig.
Just today.
This little dance.
It's so weird being on camera. I just immediately got hit by the realization that I am on camera right now, and I just like psyched myself
the weird,
out.
daring things that you do.
Yeah. I was doing this like subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like you guys could speak from you can speak from Darren experience that I do this stuff normally and not realize that I'm doing weird stuff. But now when I have an audience,
we should take random dance breaks throughout our podcast now, just because people can see us. And then
but we have to be careful not to actually use any music, because then we can get struck by copyright problems.
Yeah, but we can use there's music you can use that's not copywritten. Like it's free source.
We should start doing that, but I'll insert the music later, so you guys don't know what you're dancing to until it's actually.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I thought you were gonna do. Yeah. Sorry, Darren.
But anyways, today I beat Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers.
Yeah!
I actually finished it. Well, okay. I finished the 5.0 base expansion. There's some patch content of extra story that I haven't finished. But I'm technically an endgame now. Because they've unlocked all the endgame stores, so I can buy endgame gear. I've unlocked the ability to do like the raids and the extreme fights. And I was doing research today, trying to figure out how do I actually prepare myself for endgame. And I'm like, oh my god, there's so much information and stuff that I didn't have to worry about before, but now I have to worry about. I got so used to the game just like giving me gear for basically no effort to like keep myself up to date. And now it's like, no, you have to like play the game like every day for a week to get like a single piece of gear. Like it's ridiculous. No, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's like there's like weekly cutoffs and stuff where it's like you're only allowed to get this much stuff in a week, and then otherwise you have to wait till next week before you're allowed to get it again. So it's not forcing you to play every day, but like actually after a while, if you play every day,
play within a certain amount of time, though.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
They're basically forcing you to play at least like 1 or 2 days every week. But I brought this up because I wanted to pick up the story, and I know Alistair listens to this podcast, so I'm not going to. And also, Matt, you want to get back to it, and Destiny, you want to start it. You said, so I'm not going to say spoilers.
Yeah. Now I can start it. Now you guys have to start all over with me.
I am more than happy to do that because honestly, Shadowbringer's story was exactly as good as everybody says it is. Like they were not exaggerating. Like I actually teared up today watching the credits. I
was high
touched.
Praise coming from you.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
I don't think you've cried over many games.
There's a few. I can be a sentimental person sometimes, but like Final Fantasy XIV, if I'm going to be honest, the animation quality is not like the best. So it's hard for me to get emotional over this like MMORPG because it's like not at the same production quality as most games that I play now. But
like
just
Valheim?
Exactly. Like just like Valheim. I was in tears the whole time playing, just looking at the vastness and majesty of Valheim's procedurally generated world.
Right.
Right.
That's how I get. I get a little choked up every time I log in. I'm just like,
Mhm.
look at that motherfucking sunset.
Yeah, Destiny, I saw you chopping wood and like building that house. I'm like, I'm in heaven. You know,
I'm gonna have to
it
cut
was
this
great.
tree down right on top of her.
I'm
That
but
happened.
yeah, but like,
But
no, it's actually as good as people say it is, and it's so good. It actually retroactively makes the A Realm Reborn early game content better and makes me actually want to replay the old story to see how this like the things that I missed that the new story
Oh,
like
wow.
changes perspective on.
that's
It
kind of
actually
cool.
like
And,
yeah.
and that's high praise from you. You're not usually one that kind of buys into any sort of hype. And like we've heard a lot about how Shadowbringer is like this incredible story. That's one of the reasons we got into Final Fantasy 14 in the first place, right? We kept hearing about
Yeah.
the story. So for you to say it actually lives up to that, that's big.
Yeah.
And Darren,
Yeah.
And you
no,
went to that
it's really good.
wedding.
and
I
you
went to that wedding.
Darren, I'm gonna make an on-air promise to you. Okay. And
Okay.
Destiny, if you want to
Okay.
hop onto this promise with me, it can be a promise for
Okay,
two.
let me hear the promise first.
I will get to Endwalker by the time it comes out, so we can go through Endwalker together.
Wow.
Because that's
What's
the end.
Endwalker?
That's like fall of this year, right?
That's the new expansion that hasn't come out yet. It comes out in fall. Yeah. So Matt's
Yeah.
giving himself like 5 months.
I'm
No,
not
more
doing
than that.
that
Like
promise.
no, April, May, June, July, August, September, probably October, November. You're giving yourself like 7-ish months to get to everything. That's
Yeah.
like
I feel like that's really ambitious, Matt. Especially the way you like playing other games.
yeah.
I'm
But
calling
Doing
it.
Okay.
Matt plays really fast though. Like he blew through A Realm Reborn within like a couple weeks. It was ridiculous.
But did
So
he get the story or did he just go through like really quickly?
No, I follow
You
the
really
story.
did? You
Yeah, yeah.
did? Okay.
So
You
I'll
know
make
what
it.
you
I'll,
haven't
I
done?
think you could do it.
Hold on. What you haven't done is you haven't lived up to your promise from when we played our Jeopardy game, and I'm still waiting for that.
all I'm saying is that the
Nah.
onus is not on
You
me.
you can't be breaking promises and making promises on
I
top
never
of that.
broke any promises.
Okay, so when are you gonna do it?
Have I been given a movie to watch?
Yeah.
You guys, you Assemble and Darren have not decided on a movie that I'm supposed to be watching.
You know we don't talk to Assemble like that. That's not fair.
That's not on me.
We do have to
I'm
still
gonna
come up
message him.
with a movie to
I'm gonna
watch.
message him. I'm gonna
Because
message him.
it was I from what I remember,
I
have
thought
to
we
double
picked
check.
a game.
From what
Yeah,
I
well, I
remember,
think-
it was if
yeah.
you got 25 points, I had to watch a movie of your choosing. And if we got to 50, if you guys
You had
got
to
to
play a
50, then
game.
something else. Was it
You
play
had
a
to
game?
play a game.
Did you guys
Yeah, it
make
was
it to
play a
50?
game.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah,
We
son.
did. We made it to 50.
Did you guys make it to 50?
I'm gonna go back and check this episode again.
And now I'm
We
remembering,
totally did.
I think we did decide that you were going to play Katamari Damacy and you had to say some nice
Yes.
things about it.
You had to say some nice things about it, and it
You
had to
guys
be
are
on
confusing
cam.
bets here.
No, go back and watch the episode. Listen to
I
the
will.
episode.
I will.
Destiny, you just like refreshed my memory. And I
Yeah.
remember this so distinctly now. Yeah, we did agree on Katamari Damacy.
Stop. Stop.
So Matt,
Anyways, so Shadowbringers was that good?
yes, it was, and I'm very excited for you to both pick this game up and play it with me because I after that ending and I've heard the patch content is just as high quality. Like I know I will be getting Endwalker. So
All right.
I'll download it tonight.
And
Perfect.
I made my on-air promise. I will get to Endwalker by the time Endwalker comes out.
And you'll also play Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, I will. If that's
So,
what the
Matt-
promise was.
It
I'm
was.
all about keeping promises lately.
All right. Okay. So what have you been up to, Matt?
All right. Number 1. We had our New Year's resolution episode a few months back, and I want to give a bit of an update. Okay. My first resolution was to stop biting my nails. I have not bit my nails since that episode.
Oh, good job.
I actually
That's awesome. That's really good.
It drives me insane, but I did it. My second promise / bet, I finished Demon Souls. That stupid game. That stupid game. I finished it.
I'll congratulate you for being, persevering and doing it. I will not congratulate you for calling it a stupid game. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
I'm still waiting on Death Stranding.
We're past that. Anyways, that's I finished Demon Souls. I took the magic route and cheesed a lot of the bosses. I still died so friggin' much, and it took me almost, I think, like around 25 hours to get through the game. And Darren, so I had that bet with Aaron, right? We said that if I finish Demon Souls, he has to play a Persona game of my choosing, and that now we're gonna work on that.
Sure.
But man, this game was friggin' hard. But I have to say, the like last level bosses largely disappointing. I was expecting more of like a fight for like the storm god. Like that fight was a joke. Along with the dragon god. I was expecting a little more. I did like the fight with the Maiden of Astrea or whatever.
Yeah, Maiden of Astrea.
I thought that was
or Maiden
I thought that was
Astrea.
an interesting fight. Something like that. But like the game is beautiful, the haptics feel great, and like I'm so glad that I finished it. I'm even more glad I never have to play it again. Because like man, those games are just not for me. Like the feeling of winning, I don't know if it evens out to the anger of losing over and over and over again.
You see, the reason I like those games too is not just the accomplishment of winning. I like the act of exploring and understanding the world. It feels like you're slowly putting together like a painting whose pieces have like frayed away,
like a puzzle.
and you're like restoring it. Yeah, I'm trying to not use the word puzzle here because I know how you react to the word puzzle. Painting. But no, because I really like the act of like slowly exploring and understanding the world and becoming like a master of it. And I know the way you play the games is like, let me finish this as fast as humanly possible and skip everything that's optional. So
I don't skip everything that optional. My curve is always do everything optional until I hit a certain point. Then I do very little optional to finish out the game. Depends on the game.
See, that's why I said the thing about Final Fantasy, because like you've talked about it before, how you like just go for the main things and you don't always do a lot of side stuff. So that's why.
I do depending on the game. Like Witcher, I did a lot of the side stuff. Final Fantasy, I was doing. Well, there's just a crap ton of side stuff to do in that game, so I like it's like overwhelming amount of side stuff. But like Demon Souls, there isn't a lot of side stuff that you could really do.
No, it's more just like the idea of like stopping and smelling the roses and like soaking it in, like it's like a piece of art.
Yeah, like I did enjoy the parts of it's just like there was one level that took me hours. Like I couldn't even get through the first like 2 minutes of the level. And like trying to figure out how I should use my abilities and how I should handle the weapons. Like it is really, really satisfying to figure that stuff out. But like I'm glad that I took a break from it and then came back to it because I don't know if I would have finished it otherwise. On top of the fact that, and I mentioned this before, but like the load times on the PS5 probably made the experience a lot easier for me too, because if I had to sit through long ass load times between every death, it would have been the death of that game for me. The game is beautiful, and I think that for anybody who's curious about FromSoft, like especially on PS5, it's a beautiful showcase for the system. But yeah, it's done, and I don't have to play it again. And I deleted that thing immediately after the credits rolled, and I was like, I'm done. I finished. I made it.
You didn't get emotional or like cry?
I did get emotional. Tears of joy that it was over. I appreciate it for what it is. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, sure.
On top of that, I jumped back into Avengers on the PS5, and I played through the Kate Bishop and Hawkeye DLCs. And man, if this is what Black Panther is going to be, this game is fucked.
Really?
Like,
I feel like you guys have been saying that for the last year.
Yeah. It sucks. It sucks because there is a good game in here. There is, because like the characters feel great. I do have fun, and I had a lot of fun using Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. I do like the way that the characters move and the way that they feel. Well, maybe not move entirely, but like the actual combat is satisfying and it's fun. It's just weird. Like maybe my expectations weren't really in line with what this DLC is supposed to be, like it's very singular character focused for the most part. Outside of Hawkeye does a little bit of stuff with Hawkeye and Bishop together, but I kind of expected more interactions with the rest of the Avengers, which there are a couple, but there aren't very many. Like it's very much like this story for this character and nothing much outside of that.
Okay.
And like, man, at least maybe on PS5 right now, that thing is a mess.
Really?
I got hit with so many bugs, so much jank. Kate Bishop has this teleporting ability. She regularly teleported into the floor and then popped up. I had a sequence where like everything just went into slow-mo, and like I was just running like in slow-mo, and I had to reload the checkpoint a couple times to be able to get the game to go back to normal. Like load time hitches were like sometimes just nothing would load for longer than it should, and other times the load was instant. That game is so janky, and the haptics are very confusing on the PS5 because like there were times where like I would be running and I'd pause the game because like I'd be talking to Center or something, and my controller would continue to vibrate even in the pause menu just because I was in the act of running.
My God.
The controller would not stop rumbling.
That's not good.
They do some interesting stuff with the story. It's just that like even like the promise of Maestro, which was one of the things that they kept like advertising with Future Imperfect, which is Hawkeye's DLC. Maestro is barely there. Spoilers, I guess. Like I won't really comment too much, but like I expected him to be like this kind of presence that like maybe like, you know, leading up to a boss fight kind of thing in that DLC. That's not the way that it is at all. And like just I think this 2 DLC also highlighted the writing in the game. The dialogue is rough. Like at one point, one of the enemies yells out at you, come quietly or die noisily.
What?
Okay.
And like,
oh God,
it kills me. You go to the future, you're still fighting aimbots that look exactly just as new as the aimbots that you were fighting before. Like, I really, really want this game to pull, like, to get it together and figure its shit out, because I do think there's a good game in there. The abilities are largely pretty interesting. The characters do feel great. I had a lot of fun playing as Hawkeye and Kate, but like, if this is the level,
sounds like a really bad relationship, and you should just let it go. That's what
I'm telling you,
like.
If
like the more you talk about this, it sounds like now she's a really nice girl, and we have fun sometimes, but like
she's
hits
like
me every
night,
and she hits me and she like stalks me. But I'm telling you, like deep down inside, she has a really warm, good heart. Like that's what it sounds like.
And that's kind of what it is, because if it wasn't for this being Avengers, I would not be still trying to play this, right? Like,
it's
Black
so
Panther
sad that it's doing this on the PS5 version too, which is supposed to be just like a more upgraded version of the game.
Yeah, it's like, and that's what I mean. The haptics, like, Kate does feel lighter than Hawkeye. Like, there is more weight to Hawkeye's like abilities, but like the rumble also just kind of feels like it's there all the time, no matter what you're doing. Like, I don't need to feel constant rumble just because I'm running. It doesn't feel like it's like, you know.
I need to feel constant rumble when I'm running because, like, obviously, you know, that's what happens in real life. Like,
just real rumbly. So I don't know. I hope they pull it around with Black Panther. I don't know if they will, but if this is the level of quality that we can expect,
they better not fuck it up.
That's what I mean. Black Panther has a lot riding on on Black Panther and Wakanda. I don't know. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about very quickly, I finally started playing Stardew Valley. It's been like,
wait a minute, you started playing Stardew Valley and you didn't say anything?
Literally just a few days ago, Sana and I started up co-op on split screen.
You didn't say anything? I literally talked about Stardew Valley and you're like, well, Sana plays it, it's not really my type of game. I remember we had this conversation in your house when I saw that you had Stardew Valley. So if you started it, you should have told me.
Destiny, I started Stardew. Me.
No, it doesn't count. We could have all played together.
Can you play more than 2 people?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was only co-op.
No, you can play more than 2 people.
Okay. Well, then maybe we should all play together. We're playing
split
screen.
It's too late now.
We're playing split screen right now on the Switch, and the game is fun.
Oh, I'm not on the Switch. I have it on Steam, so maybe it's different.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe on Steam, like maybe on PC, there's more players. But yeah, it's cool. It's fun. Time goes by instantly in that game. We're like, let's play a couple days. 4 hours later, we're like, let's just do one more day.
It's like it sucks you in.
Yeah,
It really does.
it's great. It's
You
a
guys
super
can get married to each other in the game. Did you know that?
Yeah, I had to look up how to do that. She got really
Yeah.
mad at me because we went to the
Were you wooing somebody else?
no, we went to the spring festival. One of the first festivals where you can choose somebody to dance with, and
I
like
chose
you can
somebody
ask.
else.
No, so I didn't ask her. I didn't know that I had to actually run up to her character and then like say, "Do you want to dance with me?" I thought that like once we started the event, it would kind of like I would have like a menu thing, like who do you want to dance with? Wasn't the case, so we had to reload that entire day. She's like, "Why didn't you ask me to dance?"
No, cut the game off. We're going back.
Yeah, she was like, "Why didn't you ask me how to dance?" I was like, "I thought I would have that option after. Like I didn't ask anybody else. I obviously want to dance with you." But the game is cool. It's fun, and I'm really
That's
liking it so
cute.
far. But yeah, and that is what I've been up to, which there's been a whole lot lately. But that's just like sometimes.
I'm glad
Very
you guys
nice.
are playing it together.
Yeah, it's fun.
You can
it's a
have
nice,
babies in the game too.
It's a nice
Oh.
split screen experience,
so
and the split screen runs like really well, especially on Switch. I was surprised it runs well. There's a couple like every couple minutes it'll just like freeze up for like a second and then keep going. But other than that, it's fun. But what we're going to be
Cool.
talking about today, and what we're going to be, and in honor of Resident Evil coming soon, we just got a bit of news that it's going to be coming to Stadia, and just spooky stuff in general.
Zombies.
Today we're going to be talking about phobias, and different things that scare us, and how we deal with fear, and different
bump
games
in
that we like to play when we're scared. So to start off, what I want to do very quickly is pull up a definition of phobias from the DSM-5, which is like the psychology manual. So I'm going to pull from psychom.net, followed by a bunch of stuff after. But essentially, It says the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, outlines 7 diagnostic criteria for specific phobias. And I'm just going to pull a couple of them. But one of them is marked fear or anxiety about a specific object or situation. It provokes immediate fear or anxiety. If it can be avoided, they will choose to avoid almost every time. It's out of proportion for the actual danger. So basically, it's incredibly heightened fear and like a very disproportional response to some sort of trigger. For example, there are people that have phobias to spiders, people who have phobias to the dark, or very many different things. So what I want to know, and Darren, I'll ask you first, is there anything that you would consider to be scary enough that might like go into phobia territory for you? And if so, what is it?
Only maybe disappointing destiny.
Like the person or the concept?
The concept, not the person at all.
What
no,
a husband-like response.
No, when I was a kid, this is the thing. It's like I think there's a lot of things in my life that like have scared me, but nothing that I would consider a phobia. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I was scared of the dark for a while. Sometimes when I walk upstairs at night and I'm by myself, I'll still get this like feeling that there's somebody behind me, and sometimes it just like snaps in my brain, and I actually like will bolt up the stairs because that fear all of a sudden just like it's like, oh, it's real, run.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at your phobia. I'm just laughing at the sight of you bolting up the stairs.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I got you. But yeah, I guess that's like the closest I would be to a phobia is like the idea that like I will actually run up my stairs at the ripe old age of 28 and from darkness in my house sometimes. But like it's not like I can still go out at night and stuff like that. I'm fine.
Yeah, I think that kind of fear of the dark, like I definitely had that. I slept with a nightlight for quite a while when I was a kid, so I think that's a pretty standard fear, right? And that's pretty normal. I think everybody kind of goes through that to some extent. Destiny, what about you? Is there anything that really, really freaks you out?
I don't like zombies. Like it's like an irrational fear of zombies. Like it freaks me out. But
yeah,
I will
you said
say
that
why
before
it
on the
freaks me out.
podcast that you can't do like you just can't do anything with zombies in it.
I can't do anything with zombies. Like I don't like it at all. So I've never watched like The Walking Dead, and I don't play games usually with zombies in them unless they look super cartoonish. Like
like Plants vs. Zombies.
But even though they sound really creepy, like in the dark, like if you're in a cave.
Yeah.
I don't like spiders, but I do like Lucas. And funny thing is that guy, one of the reasons he created it is because he wanted people to see that spiders weren't that scary. So I like peacock spiders and Lucas, but I hate all other spiders. It's like super
For anybody
creepy.
who's curious, Lucas's spider is like this animation of this adorable little spider child that goes around doing stuff. It's very cute.
It's super cute.
Yeah. Is there
I
something that triggered you as zombies? Like, is there a reason why, or is this just something that's kind of always been at the back of your mind, being like, "Fuck that, I don't want no zombies"? Or is there something like, did you try and watch a movie when you were younger and it freaked you out to the
My
point
brother
where-
was playing Resident Evil on our PlayStation, and I'm used to like watching him play games like when we were younger. And I was like 17 though, and I had this nightmare, and like everybody in my town turned into a zombie, and like at some point I realized I was dreaming, but I couldn't wake up.
Oh no.
That's
And I
freaky
think
shit.
that's what like was just like no more, like ever again. So since then, I don't watch any of those games. I don't play anything like that. So yeah. I also don't like. I don't know if this is a phobia, but if I'm like washing my hair in the shower and I have to close my eyes, I'm like my anxiety is super high because I can't hear and I can't see because the water's running.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
always thinking that like there's like I'm gonna open my eyes one day and some like demonic force is gonna be like right there. Like I know that sounds crazy, but like it just creeps me out because I can't hear and I can't see anything, and yeah. So I don't like that. I don't think that's a phobia, but like it does freak me out.
I think that's also like a pretty decently common fear because like there's so many horror movies that'll play up that thing where there's like somebody in the shower and they close their eyes to wash their hair and then there's just like handprints on the wall or some shit.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Yeah.
like ugh. So I think and heights, like, but I don't know if that's a phobia.
Yeah, fear of heights is totally a phobia.
Yeah.
Phobia.
So I don't like heights, and that started just suddenly. Like I was on a field trip when I was in the 8th grade, and we had to go up this tower, and the steps you could see, like they were graded
Oh.
steps. And
Yeah.
as we got higher, I started to get like really nauseous and like sweating.
Yeah.
And
How
then
high
it
do you
just
think
happened.
you can go? How high do you think you can go before you start to feel it?
I don't know because I don't take that chance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm the same way. Heights get to me in a very like irrational way very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Like
I'm paralyzed. It's
yeah, like we were walking Lilo the other day and it was just like a bridge and it wasn't like a particularly high bridge, but like I looked down for a second and I was like, no, like I can't. It makes me feel like instantly nauseous and like I'm just anxious the entire way across.
yeah.
Especially like suspension bridges and stuff. Like
I hate when cars go across bridges and I'm on it the whole time. I'm thinking, don't break, don't break, don't break.
Yeah.
And I won't step on grates either. Like if
Me
I
neither.
can't see the below, I don't step on grates.
Just last week, Senna and I went with Senna's mom to this like huge new building that opened up here in Busan.
I
And-
saw that. You
yeah,
guys took a picture in front of the window.
Yeah, and like there is a certain section of it that had like a glass floor. I went all the way around to get around that thing. Senna like walked across it and I was like, nope, I'm going all the way that way. Like you could not pay me enough to like walk onto that thing and then look down. Like it just sends
Oh.
chills down my spine right away. Just
Yeah.
even thinking about getting anywhere close to it because like, man, and the other one for me is birds. And
Yeah.
it's not like an irrational fear, but like I will not mess with any birds ever. Like, and for me, that's because when I was younger, my parents had this habit of giving me ice cream and then sending me towards animals. And I don't know if they were trying to make like the original prank show or some shit, but this happened on multiple occasions. Like, for example, we were on Toronto Island and they gave me some ice cream and excuse me, they gave me some ice cream and I was wandering around and a goose attacked me and took my ice cream.
Geese are like notoriously vicious though.
Yeah. So I
So
lost
wait,
my ice cream.
did your parents want this to happen? They were like trying to get animals to like
I'm-
come after you?
I'm sure not, but part of me believes also yes. Like not
Like,
actually.
how many
but, like,
times did they put you in a situation where they gave you food and they're like,
I
all right,
know.
Matt, go off and play with the birds. Like,
and then another time at friggin' I think it was like Marineland in good old Toronto, near Toronto, Canada. They gave me ice cream and then sent me into a friggin' petting zoo.
Yeah, but
I
they
was
sold the ice cream like by the petting zoo, right? So it makes sense. And did the people allow you to come in with the ice cream?
at that point, I guess so, because then I was being chased by chickens and other, like, I think it was like goats or some shit, or sheep, something else, some four-legged animals that were chasing me down trying to get my food. And
Yeah, I'm
it's like,
sorry. Your parents were totally doing this on purpose. There's no way in hell that they weren't doing this on purpose. That's just too many
like,
coincidences.
They're probably like, remember the first time Matt got chased by that goose?
You must
let's
have
do
done
it
something
again.
to piss them off because they're like trying to get you attacked by animals.
And now
Yeah,
you
so
have this crazy fear about.
yeah, and like I will go around if there's a large like bundle, I don't know what you call a group of pigeons, perhaps a flock, but like a large group of pigeons like in one area, I will go all the way around. Like I will not go through them. Or like if it looks like it's flying too close, I'm going to be ducking and like just kind of quickly moving through an area. Those are the two things for me, like between heights and birds, that just makes my skin crawl very quickly, and it's just like no,
Could you
no,
watch
thank you.
that Alfred
No,
Hitchcock movie? Okay.
never.
Okay.
I will
I
never
was just
watch.
curious. I was just curious because I can watch movies about people like climbing mountains and being in high places, but I can't do it.
But
Like,
you don't watch
know.
zombie movies.
I don't.
Yeah.
But I'll play something that has zombies in it if they look really cartoonish.
Right. And I'll play things that have birds in them if they're
You
very
did? Didn't you
cartoonish.
play that stupid goose game?
Right. And at that
It's
point,
not
I
stupid.
was
It
the
was actually
goose.
really funny.
I was
Yeah.
the goose, and I was an asshole, so I enjoyed it. But like, would I have preferred if it maybe was a untitled goat game? Yes, I would have preferred that goose to be another animal, but that wasn't my choice, so I couldn't really do anything about that.
I was just curious. I was just curious.
That's a good
Have you
idea
guys
for a
seen those
sequel,
videos?
Untitled Badger Game.
Have
All
you guys
about
seen
that.
Have you guys seen those videos of where like it's like some bridge or some walkway in like China, and like it's like a clear bottom and it's like attached to a mountain,
Yes.
and like they're like people are trying to get them to cross, and like there are people crying, and like their friends are like dragging them across. I would defriend you in a minute.
Yeah.
Like I would hate you for life if you did that to me. Like I don't even think that's funny. Like I know I was smiling when I was saying it. I'm smiling right now. That's because I realize I'm smiling and I can see myself and I can't stop. But it's not funny. It's not funny.
Yeah,
Horrible.
no, I'm the same way. Like I don't know if I'd ever be able to cross that bridge. I don't know if I could.
No, like I'm serious. If like it was like destiny, like the only way you can prove to me that you love me is if you cross this bridge and in the
Peace.
relationship. Yeah.
So
I'll see you
it's
in the
been fun.
parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Darren, you play and watch a lot of stuff that is horror or creepy or kind of spooky stuff. Do you
Mhm.
think that has somehow desensitized you to this idea of getting like irrationally afraid of something? Do you think that like because you've consumed so much of that kind of media, maybe you're more resistant to it?
You know what? I think in a way, yes. I think, I mean, exposure therapy, I have, for the record, I have not read up on the actual scientific research of exposure therapy. My impression at the moment is that there are some benefits to exposure therapy, but the research probably is outdated that I'm referencing. So
There,
don't
sorry, I'm
quote
gonna
me
hop
on
in here.
that.
There is a lot of research showing that exposure therapy actually works, and it's actually a very common way that they'll deal with things like PTSD or even with phobias. Is that they'll
Okay.
use exposure therapy to basically, the idea is that it'll lessen the impact, to dole it out more frequently over more amounts of time. It'll essentially, they hope that it will lessen the impact of your response to it. But
Then
yes,
I think,
go on.
yeah, okay. Then I think that's, I mean, that could be why. Then, I mean, it makes sense that desensitization is a real thing. Like, I do seek out horror films. I do seek out horror media. I do seek out that kind of scary stuff. And I think maybe just through exposure, I've also developed like coping mechanisms to make it seem less scary. And I think that coping mechanism is called making fun of it while I'm watching it or playing it. Because like if you're ever watching like a horror movie, it's like very easy to like make jokes about it. But, like, oh look, that's so silly. Like you kind of spin it into like this is a fun takedown of something. Even though I'm genuinely enjoying it, but like it's almost like a stress mechanism to like if you can laugh at something, then it's not as scary.
But do
So
you like to be scared? Like, what got you into that in the first place?
I think, yeah, I think there is like an adrenaline rush to being scared. I do think like I do seek out like some adrenaline experiences sometimes. Like one of my favorite horror movies I watched last year was called Lake Mungo, Australian horror documentary, and
Like
like
Mungo.
I don't know
Lake
why
That
it's
sounds
making
like
me
a
Mungo.
laugh.
kids movie. Like
It
Lake
does,
Mungo,
Mungo.
everybody.
but
Mungo.
Lake Mungo actually scared me. Like I was not able to like do a coping mechanism. Like it was genuine fear. After I watched the movie, I'm like, I have to do something else because I'm not going to be able to sleep. But I look
Wow.
back on that memory fondly, like because it
Okay.
was it was just I think horror is like an interesting I think we talked about this before when we were talking about like horror games, but I think horror is like an interesting like exploration of our psyche, of the things that are like less talked about, like the darkness in ourselves as humans. I find like an interesting idea.
So was it like monsters or was it like people doing crazy stuff?
It was like ghosts and spirits in that movie.
Oh, okay.
So, and this is gonna sound like a joke, but I'm
Mhm.
actually asking. Um, when you watch like horror movies by yourself, or you play like very scary games by yourself, do you find yourself still like making jokes to yourself? And I'm not trying to
Yeah,
sound like I'm laughing at you. I'm like genuinely asking because like
yeah,
even for me, like when I'm exercising, like I'll talk to myself sometimes to like get myself hyped up to be able to finish what it is what I'm doing. So I wonder if
yeah.
similarly, like if you're watching something by yourself or playing something by yourself, um, will you still kind of make those kind of jokes to yourself, like in your head or even to yourself, to kind of help yourself deal with it?
Yeah, no, sometimes, yeah, but it's definitely not like I'm sitting there by myself, like this is so stupid. Like no one's in the room, and I'm just like, that ghost looks fake. Like,
That ghost has boobs.
yeah, like no, but like I think it's like a playful rush. Like I'd be like, oh, oh, I'm scared. Wow, you got me.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
So
It's kind of like that
Destiny,
kind of thing.
for you, so Darren likes to use humor to try and kind of cope with scarier situations. So when you come across these things that truly do freak you out, what are some different ways that you deal with it outside of just avoiding it? Let's say you can't avoid it, like if you're
I
in
bet
a
I
car on a
don't.
bridge, right?
If
Like
I was locked in a car on a bridge.
no, like for example, like in an everyday
Yeah, that's a
situation,
much
if
more
you're driving
extreme
somewhere.
situation.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
because like you were saying, if you're in a car that had to drive on a bridge, right, the entire time you're anxious about it, right? Like you feel nervous about it. Like how do you deal with those
I listen to
situations?
music.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you listen to
Yeah,
kind
I
of like
think that's
calm
I just
music?
I just focus on the music. Like I focus on something else.
Mhm.
If it's
That's
like
a harder situation to
unavoidable.
joke about too. Like you can joke about like
Yeah.
movies because they're fake, but being on like,
Yeah.
because that's the thing is like these are fake things that I'm talking about. Being on a bridge is like that's a real thing.
Yeah, like you're really on the bridge,
Yeah.
and if it breaks, like you're trapped in the car, and I like.
Yeah, and I'm
I
not
like
talking
it.
about like those extreme situations. I'm talking about like the everyday situations that
But those
bring
are the
you.
things I think about
I know. Oh, me too.
as I'm going across the bridge. So like as I'm coming up on the bridge, like I'll be thinking about it, and then like I'll like put on a song or something, or I'll change the music that I'm listening to,
Mhm.
so I don't focus on it. But usually that's only if it's like I can't control it. I
Yeah.
personally have rarely driven over a bridge. Like if there's another way to get there, then I'll take even if it's a longer route.
Yeah.
So
And that's kind of that's
yeah.
that's something that I usually like to do too. Is like I'll put on music or I'll try and think about something else. Like I'll try and remove myself from that situation just to kind of deal with it. Because like I'll do the same thing, especially coming up on like a suspension bridge. I'm looking at those cables. I'm like, you better not break. Like you better not snap. You've done this thing for years. Today better not be your bad day, bridge. But
I
like,
think I had more anxiety in Korea than I did in the US though, because like the cab drivers in Korea drive crazy. So
yeah,
like I'm always afraid I used to be afraid that they would like go off the bridge. Like or go off like the
Yeah.
highway thing because they just take turns and stuff so quickly. And I'd be like, I hope it's instant. Like I hope my death is instant. Like it's just like bam. Because you can't control it. I think
No.
it's different when somebody else is driving than when like
Yeah.
you're in control of the situation. I feel the same way about planes because I know planes have less like accidents than cars, but the fact that I'm controlling the car, I feel more stable. I feel more
Mhm.
calm about it. But like
Mhm.
I'm not flying the plane. So like and you know these people have gone to school and like probably taken millions of flights, but even so in the back of my head, like if we experience turbulence, I'm like, man, I hope they know what the fuck they're doing. Like that's how like I
Yeah.
get.
No, I know.
So I won't ever fly in a private jet because those
That
go
makes
down all
sense.
the time.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's situations you can't control because if you, at least if you have some control over it, there's less fear because you trust yourself to do something.
Yes.
But
Yes.
someone else, it's hard to trust. It's hard to
It makes
trust.
it.
That's just
Yeah.
a life lesson in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is.
Seriously.
It's trust. Yeah.
So, what, Darren? What I want to ask you then is, what are some of your favorite horror things? And like, do you think? Okay, I'm gonna make it a two-part question. First thing, do you
Mhm.
think what are some of your favorite horror stuff? You just talked about Lake Mungo
Mhm.
and how it
Mm.
like actually freaked you out. What are some experiences, either movie or game, that have like genuinely freaked you out, or that you enjoy playing because it scares you?
Oh my god. Um. Well, like Resident Evil 7. Like the Resident Evil games are really like the more recent Resident Evil games are really good at actually scaring me, and I like playing them.
Mm.
Um, some other horror films. I can't really think off the top of my head.
Okay,
The
think
other
about
thing.
it. Think about it. I'll come back to you because then I'll
Okay,
ask
Have you
Destiny a
seen Event
question.
Horizon?
no, I want to though.
Please watch that and tell me if that scares you because that fucked me up. And that's only because my
Yeah.
dad was watching it and I only saw parts of it. I didn't even watch the whole thing.
So, Destiny, what I'll ask you then, as
Yeah.
Darren thinks about his answer, is that there's like recently, at least, and especially the last, maybe not recently, but there's been a handful of games that have kind of tailored the experience more to yourself, right? So, for example, there was that, what, Darren, which Silent Hill game was it that like basically you do like a
Silent Hill.
survey type thing?
Shattered Memories.
Shattered Memories, where like you do like a survey at the beginning of the game, and it'll be like, are you more afraid of spiders or
Mhm.
ghosts? And like you basically pick the things to kind of tailor the experience
I'd lie.
more to yourself. Okay, so that's part one. You would lie. You would be like, you'd pick the less scary
Yeah,
options.
because I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't like being scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, some people get a rush from it, but my rush is never worth it. Like, I'm scared and I never walk away and be like, that was pretty good. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
that's, like, I don't like it. But I will watch things, like, I won't watch, which I think this is weird. I won't watch scary things, like, that are fake, like Hollywood fake. Maybe it's
Mhm.
because it's so dramatic and over the top, but I will watch stuff with like real ghosts and like real hauntings. Like I
Mhm.
find that shit so interesting, which I think is weird because those are based on like true events and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I like those, but I won't watch like scary movies that aren't based on true events. Like Event Horizon, which is about a spaceship that goes to a different dimension, which happens to be hell, and then comes back. Like that scares me.
Yeah.
But like watching something about a house that's supposedly been haunted and then they have like crazy footage and things happening to them, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my shit, like this is so good. But I would never go into those houses and I would never tempt things like that. And I think that has more to do with like my upbringing. I'm not a very religious person,
Mhm.
but I definitely believe that there are things out there that we shouldn't fuck with, that we might like not know about, like
Yeah.
demonic things. And so
Have you ever watched that movie? I'm struggling to remember the name. I think it was called like Third Encounter, Third
Yeah, the third
something.
encounter.
Darren, the
I think it is the
the
third
alien
or
movie.
the third kind, or
The third.
Oh yeah,
kind?
the one where he's in that truck and he gets taken up or whatever, and then they find him at a gas station. Is that the one that's based
No,
on supposed true events?
not Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Hmm.
I can't remember. I'll see if I can find the thing. But basically, it's like a movie where, like, at the beginning of the movie, the lead actress like starts the movie being like, I'm playing this real person, and throughout the course of the movie, we're going to be using actual footage from like this person's like security cameras and like therapy sessions and blah blah blah. And they basically set it up saying like, this is all real, and they're basically setting it up as like they're going to be real footage in this movie. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker, and it scared the shit out of me. I haven't really
Is it a
had
mockumentary?
The fourth kind.
the fourth kind. Thank you. And no, it's like it's a horror movie, but the way that they set it up is that they make it seem like it's real. And like immediately after, like I watched that movie and I went home and I looked it up, and they put a bunch of like fake websites up with like basically confirming the news kind of thing. Like it was a whole thing. It was a genius marketing play. But like I have not ever like watched a scary movie or played a scary game and then not been able to sleep. That movie screwed with me for like days after because of the way that it was set up. Like this is real. Aliens are real. They abduct people. Like this. Look at all this horrifying shit that's happened. And it turns out like all the real people are actually actors and actresses as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like man, just because of the way that they set it up,
well,
scared
I think
the crap out of me.
The fear came from the idea that you thought it was actually real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not the fact, and that makes sense. Like if you watch something and you see some horrific shit happen that you can't explain, and they're saying it's real, that would scare anybody. I think a lot of people are afraid when the Blair Witch Project first came out. A lot of people freaked out about that, especially here in Tennessee, because I was living here. We live around a lot of woods.
Yeah.
So people were like fucking flipping out when that movie, and I have not watched it to this day.
It's creepy. It's a very creepy movie. Darren, to circle back around to you, using this as a jump off point, did you think about the question?
I did. And I'm actually going to take your question a bit of a different direction, if you don't mind, because I'd like to highlight, jumping off of what you two are saying, I think more recently, the things that have been the kind of the scariest for me in media is creepypastas. Now, have you heard of the term creepypasta?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's the stupidest name to describe.
Anyway.
Yeah, the stupidest name to describe something, because I think creepypasta came from like etymologically, I can't remember the word, derived from I think the word copy paste, which was copy pasta, which was creepypasta, which is the idea of like a scary story that's like passed from person to person to person, and it's made to look as real as possible, and it's usually based on like some kind of fictional element that becomes real.
Like
And
an urban legend?
Like an urban legend. I think the most famous creepypasta that I can think of is Ben Drowned, which is like the story of like a haunted Majora's Mask cartridge, where it's this story that people told where it's like this Majora's Mask cartridge that was corrupt, and there's video footage of somebody playing it, and you could see it's really corrupt. There's like things in places that shouldn't be there, and like this one statue keeps following you around, and there's real footage that you can see. Obviously, the footage is manufactured by somebody for the purpose of the story, but it's made to look like it's real gameplay footage. And throughout the story, you start to find out like, oh, it's haunted by the ghost of the kid who played it who died, and it's like haunting this person. And I think there's a lot of dumb ones, but there's some really truly scary ones, because what makes them scary is they perfectly blur the line between what is meant to be fake and what's meant to be real, and you can't tell, and they're meant to be as convincing as possible. And I think that really, like, it's unsettling. There's nothing more unsettling than something that you think should be some way turns out to be a way you're not expecting it to be. Like something mundane that has changed to be something that you can't recognize. Like that's a terrifying concept, because it like highlights the futility of control that we have on our own lives. We like to think that we have all this control, and then when it's all taken away from us, we're like, crap, we have no power. I am just a bag of meat that is floating through this world. That anything
really
bad
scary.
could happen to me.
Yeah, I think that's what I've been coming to terms with. Like here, like I've been kind of like really just like depressed, I think. And I think it started with like when I lost Zuri and I thought I had control of that situation and I just didn't. And then it just kind of made me feel like, man, I don't. And then my dad's like, when are you going to settle down? And it's like, I don't have any control over any of that. Like the idea that you think you have control over it and you find out you don't. Anyways, what I wanted to say is the creepypasta that I listened to was about this guy who came back. He said he died for like 9 minutes and he experienced what heaven was, right? And I'm not going to go into the whole story, but it was crazy because the title of the story was like, well, if this is heaven, I'd rather be in hell. And I was like, that's really interesting. And so like I read through it, and like if you guys can find it, like you'll find it really interesting. It's not scary, but it's just like fucked up and kind of like
unsettling.
Yeah, a lot of this makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So much so that I looked up this man's name to see if he was a real person who died in New York, because he said where he was from and he said his name was Ben, and around the time that this happened. And there is a Ben in New York, in the same town, and I was just like, is this the guy? Like, is this his real story?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was like crazy. Like it was just so convincing that like the way they made heaven seem is like he got up there, and that what God was just the existence of everything, but at some point God realized that he just didn't want to deal with any of it. And so the job of the angels were these things that he created, the angels, and there's like 7 of them, 7 different types of angels. And their job was, even though God wanted to destroy everything because he created them to protect everything, we were basically, when we die, we basically are keeping this entity that's God chained up so that he doesn't destroy everything. And that is your only job.
Jesus.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so you get sent to this room, and there's different levels, and like you can't talk. So like, and if you talk, they don't tell you what happens to you, right? So like he goes into this room and they're making these rings, and what you think are halos are actually the links of these chains.
Wow.
This sounds really interesting. I'll have to check this out.
You have to check it out. It's like it's called something like like I went to heaven and I would rather be in hell, or something like that. It's really good. Guys, it might freak you out a little bit. It definitely freaked me out.
Yeah, I think it's this idea of like this blurred reality, right? Like this line between Darren, kind of like what you were saying with a lot of these creepypastas, between this idea of what's not real and what is, and like even like you said, D, like with this Ben being a real person in this area, like it's a super super creepy juxtaposition to have things that aren't supposed to be.
We just don't know a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's just so many unknowns. We don't even know everything that's going on in our planet and in our forest, we don't know enough about space. We haven't even explored enough. Like we just don't know. And I feel like when people play up on those things that we don't have definite answers to, that's the scariest. Those are the scariest kinds of stories and the scariest kinds of movies, because you just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of fear and phobias, we've all played a game called Neurodeck, which we will have a review coming up very, very soon. It'll be up this week. So if you're watching this podcast, go see if it's there yet. If it's not, check us out on Twitter. We'll tell you when it is. A game built around phobias, a roguelite deck builder that the enemies are phobias, and you use things like hugs and comfort food to try and get past them and get to the next stage. If you're curious about our thoughts on it, go check out the review, because it's going to be a good one. So please go check that out.
Yeah, it's what inspired this podcast today. So yeah. Also, tell us if you have any phobias or anything like that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about today. Because I don't think we talked about many phobias, but there are so many. So
and how you cope. I want to hear more about how you cope with your fears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go check out our review. Let us know in the comments what are you afraid of? Do you have any phobias? How do you cope?
Are you afraid of the dark? You guys remember that show?
Love that show so much.
I didn't watch that show. I didn't watch that show. Let's jump over to some news. We have 2 main stories that we're going to talk about today. We're going to start the first one coming from IGN. Square Enix presents Spring 2021. Everything announced, including Black Panther and Marvel's Avengers. This is from Adam Bankhurst. We're going to talk about a couple of the announcements from Square Enix's first digital showcase. The first one is that Project Athia is officially called Forspoken. This is coming from Luminous Productions for PS5 and PC and will be out in 2022. This game looks sick. I'm so excited about this. The traversal looks so fluid and so fast, and I love a good traversal system. Destiny, we were talking a little bit about this. What about Forspoken gets you excited?
Honestly, I'm really excited that the main protagonist is a person of color and she's female.
Yes.
You just don't get a lot of that. Also, just looking at the game, it looks really beautiful. Like the art style, the atmosphere, and you guys know I'm a sucker for that. So this game literally has two of my biggest qualifiers for wanting to play it. So yeah, Darren, what about you?
I'm really excited for it too. I'm also a big sucker for games that are like, there's a. Oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. I am a sucker for games where it seems like the main character is not from the world that they're transported to, and from the trailer it seems like she is not really from that world. So, I am very, very excited for that. Yeah, I don't know. It just looks really good.
To see where the story goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Luminous
reaction...
engine as well. I just want to say really quick, the Luminous engine. I don't know how easy it is to develop for, but it always makes a beautiful game.
Yeah. Like her reaction, if you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out, because like she basically, it seems to be soon after she appears in this world, but there's like a dragon that flies by, and I love her reaction. It's like, there's a fucking dragon. Like it's this kind of isekai of being warped to another world to be a hero type story. I'm also
there's an anime word for it.
Yeah, there's a whole genre.
Oh my god!
A whole genre of these kinds of animes called isekais, where it's about like a person being warped to another world. But curious about it. I hope we get to see more later this year. It's supposed to be coming out next year. The game looks awesome, so go check out the trailer if you haven't yet. The next thing is Life is Strange. True Colors has been announced for 2021, so this is coming September 10th. It follows the story of Alex Chen, a young woman with the psychic power of empathy. So it seems like this time you're going to be experiencing other people's emotions in some sort of way. And this is the first Life is Strange that's not going to be released in episodes. They're going to be releasing the full thing out at once. And alongside that, they're also going to be remastering Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm, also coming in September 2021. Do either one of you have much history with Life is Strange? I've started the first one, played like 10 minutes, and then fell off of it. Not for any particular reason. Like, it's always a game I want to go back to and play. I just haven't yet. Do either one of you have much love for Life is Strange?
I liked the first one, and then I started watching a playthrough of the second one, but it was weird because it's about the characters from the first one. It's like a prequel.
Yeah. Before the Storm was the prequel, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird because you already know what happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I watched like a little bit of it, and I was just like, well, I already know the story behind this, so I wasn't really interested.
There's a whole other one that came out after that too.
There was another one. Yeah, there's another one where it's a boy and like the stepdad shows up in that one.
Yeah, Life is Strange 2 is about like two brothers like on the run or something, and then Before the Storm came out in between 1 and 2, which was like the prequel to 1. That focuses more on some of the characters there. Darren, what about you? Anything Life is Strangey?
It's a series that I've always really wanted to play. I keep looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play that one day. I really want to try it. And you talking about your New Year's resolutions earlier in the podcast made me remember I don't think I've made good on any of my resolutions yet.
I don't remember what mine are.
And one of those resolutions was to play more classics. I don't know if Life is Strange counts as a classic, but it's definitely a game that I've wanted to go back and play. My mom loves them. She's played all of them. I have not played them.
I love that your mom games. It's so cute.
Yeah, I don't know. I might pick it back up, or I might just wait for the remaster and kind of go through them both. Well, that and Before the Storm then, but we'll see. I guess we'll find out more about Life is Strange as it comes, so get stoked on True Colors coming in September. And the last piece of news from that Square Enix thing that I want to talk about is Avengers. Just very quickly, we already talked about it a lot earlier, but Black Panther is coming. They showed off a bit of a teaser trailer for him. They also put out a roadmap with a bunch of information. If you're curious to hear more about that, go check out our new series, Hey Did You Hear, where I did an episode all about Black Panther and the roadmap. But so I've talked about it to death. But Darren,
Woo.
what I want to ask you, is there anything that Avengers can do to get you in?
No. I kind of like, no. It's really funny. You kept saying that you're like, I know there's a good game in here. But I think at this point, they've made so much bad game that I don't know if the good game is in there at all anymore. I think it's just been drowned out by the bad. I think that if to get me to play it, they'd have to make it a different game at this point. Like I am not interested at all.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand that. But if you're curious to hear more of my thoughts, go check out the episode of Hey Did You Hear over on YouTube. It's just a couple minutes long, nice and short. And yeah, go support that. But our very last piece of news that we're going to be talking about, something that gets me very excited. I'm going to pull directly from the PlayStation blog. Next Gen VR on PS5, the new controller. Following the recent reveal of our next generation virtual reality system for PS5, I'm excited to give more details. So basically go on to give us more information about the new controllers, which look very interesting. They're going to have adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, finger touch detection, and a bunch more. If you're curious to see what these look like, people on Twitter have been calling it the thong controller because apparently it looks like a thong that just goes onto your hands. But the controller looks great. VR on PlayStation is in desperate need of new controllers. Those moves are not cutting it anymore, and on PSVR 2, seemingly, or whatever it's going to be called, there's going to be new controllers. I think they look great. I'm super excited about it. This whole finger touch and adaptive triggers, I'm all over it. Darren, what did you think about the new controllers?
I'm so stoked, man. I am so excited. Like, not even a bit of cynicism in this. Like, I am
Wow.
just super excited for these controllers because, like, I also have a PSVR headset, and like, I see all the games that are, like, I do still think that PSVR probably has like the best games overall out of all the headsets to play, but there are certain experiences, like, if you're to pick out, I think, like, on average, PSVR has the best games, but I think there are some games that are the best that are on other headsets that cannot be ported to PSVR because there's no goddamn, like, thumbsticks. There's, like, no touch fingers. Like, I've been wanting new controllers for so long. In a perfect world, we would have gotten index-style controllers that have full finger tracking, but, like, I don't care. Like, what the controllers that they showed us, I am happy with. I think it's good enough.
And some people were theorizing that because of the controller build, there might not actually be even a need for cameras on the next PSVR. So you might not even need to set up that camera like we do now. Given that the way that the controllers apparently have no like light bar or no sort of kind of like light indication, which is what the moves use, which is if true, that's awesome. Like I would love not to be worrying about a camera, setting it up and make sure I'm in the friggin' playfield the entire time. I'd like for that to happen from the headset and the controllers. So if that's what it is, dope. I'm all over these controllers. I'm super excited about the next PSVR. Destiny, what about you? Are you amped about VR at all? I know you tried VR at my place a little bit, but did it do much for you?
I'm not as amped as you two are, but I mean, I think that's great that they're getting new controllers. I did look them up. They do kind of look like underwear, but at the same time, they kind of look comfortable. So I guess, I remember the ones that I use at your place, but these do look comfortable, but they do also look like underwear. So that's my take on it.
Sometimes controllers just look like underwear, but both need
sexy
to be comfortable.
Black thongs.
Yeah. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of the show. Before we wrap up, Darren, is there anything left that you'd like to talk about?
No, I think everything that needs to be said has been said. I think it's all been spoken and said, and that if there was any other dialogue to happen, it would be unnecessary because the words have already been said.
Why did you say it like that? Unnecessary.
I love the way he said it. That was hilarious because he was just dragging on with words that didn't need to be said.
Yeah,
which totally like derailed his whole talk.
Destiny, what about you? And please, Destiny, plug your Twitter handle so people can find you over on there as well.
Oh yeah, so you guys can find me at DNBC32. That's my Twitter handle. I haven't been like super active, but I will become more active on there.
When you
I
started
don't
with
really.
D, I really thought you were going to say you can find me at D's Nuts.
I should have. I'm a little upset that I missed that opportunity.
You should
Next
change your
time.
Twitter handle.
No. No. Okay, anyway, so. But if Darren gets Twitter, he could do that because his name starts with a D.
Oh
He
God,
could be
no, you're
Daz
right.
Nuts, and you could be D's Nuts.
No, stop trying to ship us in weird ways. That's weird. Anyways, I don't have anything else to say other than Matt. Well, other than me and Darren need to talk to a symbol so that you can do what you're supposed to do.
Anyway, so
'Cause
yeah,
it's been too no, it's been too long. It's been too long, and you think you're gonna get away with it? I'm gonna message him tonight, so be ready. And you have to
All right.
record it. I remember that was one of the things because I don't trust you.
I know. I will make good on my deal. I will
know.
make good on my deal when I am given the mission. So far, I have not been given said mission.
You
so
had yes, you have the
Anyways.
game. We agreed on the game.
I have to double check that
game.
podcast to make sure I have to play that stupid game, and also how I'm going to play that stupid game. I think we said that we're going to have to save for when I'm actually with Darren because you have the game and it means to play it, right, Darren?
Listen
Katamari?
to the podcast because I don't remember.
I think there's other ways that you could play it without me.
Didn't you play it in Korea already once?
That was with
No,
Tom.
that was not the same game. That was not
a
the same
different
game.
one.
Tell me if we play that again. Anyways, you can find me over at burnout_Matt on Twitter. Find us on Facebook at the Burnout Brighter Podcast. Catch us over at YouTube at Burnout Brighter, where we have a new daily, well, not daily, but multiple times a week show called Hey Did You Hear, where we talk about a little bit of news. They're small bite-sized segments, kind of 3 to 5 minutes. Go check us out there. We have check out the new review for Neurodeck, which will be up very soon as well. There's a Valheim Let's Play coming. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. So please continue to support. We really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, toss the stuff everywhere. Help us get bigger and better.
Thank you for all the people who have been with us thus far and continue to stay with us.
Yes, and one last thing for anybody who's on Apple products, please go over to the show on Apple Podcasts, throw us a follow, and throw us a 5-star review. Even if you don't say anything, all of those reviews will help us gain a little bit more traction, so we appreciate it very, very much. And now, brings us to the end. Catch us on next week's show. We'll be back again next week. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Bye.
Later.
Deuces.
Oh, please say that. Say that.